Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the feed. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty on
Him. It's Mike and Marty on the feed. It's June 2nd, the first unofficial day of summer here in Rockingham. I guess the summer starts later, but
Yeah, it does.
but this is like everybody thinks this is summer.
Right,
So,
once you hit Memorial Day weekend, then.
yeah. So here we are. We're going to be joined in a little bit by Bronwyn Sims. She's a local artist, actor, and fitness person. She's going to tell us about some things she's working on and they're working on in the community. And first, Marty, with some local events.
So just reminding everybody that we are progressing very nicely with the Vermont Forward plan. We're now in step 3 of Vermont Forward. And as soon as we get to 80% vaccination rate, we're at like 79 right now,
Yeah,
I think,
it's really
in
close.
the state. Then basically we go to step 4 where things really start to open up. There will be, masks will not be required if you're vaccinated, nor will social distancing. The restrictions on outdoor and indoor gatherings
Will go away.
Just to remind people though that even if the mask mandate is lifted from the state, still be respectful to businesses that are choosing to require masks still. Just be respectful,
Yeah. Well, and there's also people who still have, co-occurring conditions and they're immunocompromised and
they just
all
feel
these things
comfortable.
that they
So,
have to watch out for. Go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say this weekend, if you're looking for something to do, the Emmanuel Episcopal Church, which is located at 20 Church Street, will be having a Save Our Bell Tower tag sale. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. If it does happen to rain this weekend, which I don't think it's supposed to, it only rained last weekend because it was a 3-day weekend. But this weekend, not supposed to. There is a rain date of June 12th. So make sure that you stop by. If you're tooling down School Street, you'll see them up on Church Street from 9 to 2 on Saturday. I'm sure they're going to have lots of fun tag sale items. And it's a good cause. It supports their trying to save their bell tower. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of tag sales because there were supposed to be a lot of tag sales
last weekend,
and
right?
it all got wiped out.
Got rained out, literally.
Yes, literally rained out. But we're here to talk with Bronwyn Sims. And good morning, Bronwyn. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm great.
Good. Good to see you. Haven't talked with you for a while. First of all, I guess we should know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're coming from, and what you do?
Sure. Hi, Mike. Hi, Marty. Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate that. I am a born and raised Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania gal. So I grew up about an hour outside of Pittsburgh, PA. In a small town called Export, Pennsylvania, a rural little small town. Not unlike Vermont, actually, back in the day, but it's changed a bit since I left Pittsburgh. But that's not where I am right now. I am in southern Vermont, in Townsend, Vermont, not far from Bellows Falls and Saxon's River. And I do many things. I am a fitness yoga instructor. I have my own business called Just Move Yoga and Fitness. And I teach yoga, aerial yoga. I've also taught aerial acrobatics and acrobatics gymnastics, things like that. And I also consult people with personal fitness goals, running, swimming, and nutrition work. I also work with people on nutrition. And I'm also a devised physical theater artist. So I know that's probably confusing, but a devised theater artist basically creates theater and art sort of in a different way, in a collaborative way. It's usually done in a slightly less structured format, meaning that you don't necessarily have a play and you've written the play and then you get a director and you cast the actors. It's a little more free form than that. So you have a group of people and you collaborate on an idea, and it might just be an idea. It might not even be in a script format. So there's a lot of improvisation and games and things that you do in order to create the work. But it doesn't have to just be theater either. It could be movement, it could be film, TV combined, whatever sort of tells the story the best.
No.
So that's sort of who I am,
Oh, that's great.
among other things.
Nice. Yeah, I was curious. I was reading your bio and I was like, I wonder what devised theater artist means. Well, now I know. So it's more, you go more with the flow and more improv then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you sort of think of things like, so you can create something from nothing, basically. Like if I wanted to create a theater piece about, I don't know, coffee, for example, you'd start with the idea and then you sort of unpack it. So you'd list all the different things about coffee, like where does it come from? How's it made? What does it taste like? What are the different ways you can add things to coffee? And then, so you'd make like a big list on a big board, maybe, so you have it in front of you. And then you take that and you create from it. So maybe like one of the things that coffee makes you feel is anxious. So then you could physically get up and embody that so that you can take it in different steps. And if you're working in a group, you keep playing with these ideas. So maybe you work with it as movement, and then you work with it as text, and then you put the text and the movement together, and it becomes a short piece of choreography. You could also implement film or video into that. So maybe some of the movement is done live, and some of it is actually videotaped behind you. So that you can combine different elements in devised work. It doesn't have to be just about the text, and it could be a piece that's done completely in mime with no words, or it could be a combination of movement, physicality, and text or poetry. So there's all kinds of ways. It's quite fun, and well, maybe fun's not the right word.
I'm sure fun is the right
Actually,
word.
fun does sound like
That
fun.
sounds like fun to
It
me.
can be fun. It can also be very stressful. And I mean, there are times that it may feel like the loudest voice in the room is the person whose work or idea gets done. So I have to say it's not always democratic. And and when I was in school, I went to school for devised physical theater performance at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia in collaboration with Pig Iron Theater Company. And my whole 3 years of school, I was with the same 15 people, and we collaborated together on every project. We were in class together every day, and then rehearsals. And honestly, there were times where I felt like, wow, if you're a quiet person, or if you're a person who listens more as opposed to has to have your voice heard, your ideas might not get done. So I learned a lot about me. Like I was like, wow, you really listen a lot. You're not much of a person who has to have your voice out there. But so yeah, it's a very interesting process. It can be challenging. It takes a lot of communication.
That's an amazing thing to be with the same 15 people for 3 years. That you must have either be the best of friends or the worst enemies by now.
Yeah, pretty much, Mike. And I mean, that was the funny thing is that somewhere through that process, I realized I didn't have to be best friends with everybody in the class. And that was really hard for me to sort of acknowledge that, okay, we just need to collaborate together and get along well enough to exchange ideas. It doesn't, and work together physically, emotionally. But it didn't always necessarily mean that I was going to hang out with everybody after school or after class. And that was definitely for me, I think, a challenging thing to acknowledge in myself, that I didn't have to be best friends with everyone. We could hang out, or we could do all of our work together and then leave. I also realized how much of a sort of private person I am, or how much of my own space I really needed during that process.
Right. But that's really an incredibly important piece of process that you've learned, because especially in today's world, everything seems to be, well, if you're not my best friend and you disagree with me, I hate you. And
Right.
there has to be some, like you said, some middle ground where we can come together. We might not be friends, but we can get something done. And that's,
Yes.
we are sorely lacking with that.
You think?
I think so.
Well, it's true. And and that's why I really feel like right now the idea of devised collaboration, or collaboration in that way, is really important, and a great way to bring people back together, especially right now, because exactly what you said is that it's about being able to work together and have conversations about difficult topics, or maybe you have conflicting views, but how do we talk about them in a calm, respectful manner to achieve a certain goal? And that's really important. And
Right.
I mean, I can't necessarily say that my class always did the best with that. Something my professor said and I may get cry here, but that's typical of Bronwyn, is that she said to us during graduation, this is the moment where you realize the times that you brought the group up and the times that you brought the group down. And it's so true, because I could pinpoint in my brain, like, the times that I brought my class up and the times that I brought them down. And that's hard.
Yeah,
It was hard to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, no worries.
That's okay.
I cry easily. So
So,
Two things.
it's not you guys.
Okay, good.
I have that effect on people.
We do.
I knew that, Mike. I knew that.
So, couple of things. So, you use the example of coffee. So, is that how you came
Yes.
up with your strongcoffeestage.com? Is coffee like your thing? Because that's how people can reach you, right? Is Bronwyn at strongcoffeestage.com?
Yes, that is my email. And yes, the theater company that my former husband, I'm not married any longer, but Patrick and I, it did come from coffee, actually. The theater company is called Strong Coffee Stage Company, and it's still currently around, but we're in a little bit of a holding pattern in terms of moving forward on projects. But the way the name came about was we were on a retreat doing this theater improv workshop for like a week, and it was in the Catskills, and so we were camping, and it was really early when we would have our first class, and so it seemed like the coffee should be strong, because it's a bunch of actors who probably were up late the night before partying or hanging out at the bonfire or whatever. Not necessarily that I was doing that all the time, but in the morning, we would go to the cafeteria or the cabin that had the food and the breakfast, and the coffee was never strong enough. So Patrick and I were like, wow, this coffee really needs to be stronger because it's not waking us up for class.
There you go.
That's
So-
perfect.
In and amongst there is when the idea came to have our own theater company. And yes, it was specifically based on coffee.
My other comment was, it sounds like this type of theater would appeal to, say someone doesn't see themselves as having acting skills or choreography skills, or maybe they just don't know what skills they have. So it seems like it's a somewhat safe way to test the waters because you're collaborating. You didn't have to learn lines. You didn't have to, all the things that might make people nervous about acting. It seems like it's kind of more of a thought process, and you bring your skill set to it. It just, I don't know, that thought intrigued me.
Yeah, so Marty, what you're saying makes is exactly in line with about devised theater, is that in the group, whoever you're collaborating with, even if it's a solo piece that you're creating, your collaborators can be the technical people that you're working with, the lighting designer, the set designer, or whatever it is, because they still have a voice in the process. And the important part of devised theater and collaboration is that everybody has a voice. You may have one person who is the outside eye or the quote unquote director, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have the final say. It's always a conversation, but you do need to have that outside eye as someone who is putting the whole picture together. But it allows each individual in the collaboration to go from their strength. So, for example, if you have in a group of collaborators, someone who's an opera singer, and someone who is a carpenter, and someone who is really good at poetry or choreography, then those individuals might lead a session of improvisation based around whatever your topic is. So we were talking before we went on the air about, well, if your devised idea starts with the idea of coffee, as you're going to create a theater piece, or you're going to create a performance piece about coffee, each individual could come forward with their strength to propose a workshop of how we can work with coffee, the idea of the prompt as coffee in movement, or the prompt as coffee in poetry. So you can keep doing that. I'm just using coffee as the prompt.
Yeah.
The prompt could be
structure,
anything.
right?
The prompt could be social justice. The prompt could be incarceration. It could be anything. But what's cool is that all of the artists or people in the collaboration have a voice and can start with their specialty as something to offer the group, and then move from there.
Yeah. So you're
Hopefully I explained that.
Yeah, that's great. So you're starting to work on some projects here locally, right? And I was wondering if you might help us just by sharing some of the different, because I know there's a variety of things. It's not just theater, it's physical and it's movement. And so if you could just share some of the things, like I know what happened this morning.
Yes, sure. So I'll start with the more fitness part of myself first, since I do several different things. So I have my own fitness yoga company called Just Move Yoga and Fitness, and we just started a new spring summer session now that the weather's nice, thankfully. So this morning I taught my first yoga class in Wardsboro, Vermont, at the town hall in Wardsboro at 71 Main Street, in case you don't know where it is. And we have a regular class there through June from 9 to 10 a.m. at the town hall in Wardsboro, Vermont. And it's a slow flow yoga class, which is just basically means there's a little bit of vinyasa flow. We do a lot of standing postures, and it moves slowly with your breath, and you can always rest at any point. And that's a class that I'll be offering until June 23rd in Wardsboro, and then I'll take a little break in July. and then come back to teach there in August and September, assuming that we can still do indoor practice. And that is an indoor class. I also offer a virtual class on Zoom that I've just started on Thursdays. And that class is on Zoom, virtual, just like this. And that class goes from 9 to 10:15 a.m. It's also a slow flow yoga class. And if you're interested in either of those classes, you can email me. I think Alex popped up my email there. It's bronwyn@strongcoffeestage.com. And there's the possibility, I'm still working out the details, but I'm hoping to teach in person outdoors in Townsend, Vermont, and in the little.
Oh, in the square.
What do you call it?
It's called the square or the commons.
Yeah.
I never know what it's called. Does anybody know what it's called?
This is the
It's the
gazebo.
commons,
Commons,
isn't it?
gazebo,
Yeah.
commons.
Thank you. Yes. So I've just spoken with the town clerk there, and I've filled out a permit to hopefully be able to teach some outdoor in-person yoga classes in Townsend. Those aren't set yet, so hopefully there'll be classes in June there and July throughout the summer. And I'm also looking into teaching some classes in Saxton's River, outside of Main Street Arts, and there may be another location for some in-person outdoor yoga classes. So if you're interested in any of these classes, feel free to email me and be happy to give you more info.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Right about
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
about 3 minutes.
Sorry. The other classes I'm teaching up at Open Door Integrative Wellness in White River Junction is another place that I'm teaching. They're an awesome studio. They have all sorts of classes and wellness, acupuncture, physical therapy. And I'm teaching on June 20th, I'm teaching a kids circus class. So if you have kids, and you don't mind driving either an hour to White River Junction, or if you live in White River Junction, let folks know it's on June 20th, and it's an Open Door Integrative Wellness. You can check out their website. It's www.opendoorworkshop.com, and there's classes listed there. I'm also teaching an adult inversions class. So if you like going upside down, I'll be teaching that also on June 20th. And it's all on their website in case you're interested.
That's great.
Nice.
We have about 2 minutes left, so I wanted to give you a chance to, is there any other projects you're working on that you can tell us about quickly? And then I would also like to take the opportunity to invite you back because it's been a great show.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'm working with Main Street Arts as a community artist, and I just wanted to give a little plug to them about some really awesome things that we're starting to implement there. There's a new board, and Susan Still is the board president, and there's about 4 or 5 community artists that will be working with Main Street Arts and the board to start some community conversations, and we are really interested in talking to the community and community organizations about how to provide healing and what these organizations need right now to come together to collaborate on maybe artistic projects or any projects that feel community inspired. So start to look out for emails or information from Main Street Arts in regards to implementing community conversations. We want to really reach out to the community to ask what you need right now for healing and to come out of isolation from COVID-19 and to help support the community. But there's all sorts of interesting ideas that we're coming up with, but inspired from the community, not from the artist standpoint. So it's a conversation between artists, board members, community members.
Nice. 30
That's
seconds.
one of the projects I'm working on
seconds.
right now. There are a few others, but well, I'll just plug this other thing real quick. The Vermont Dance Alliance, June 12th, we are doing performances across the state of Vermont, all about water conservation. I personally will be performing in White River Junction on June 12th in Lyman Park.
Wow.
These performances last pretty much, I think, all day, starting at 10 till about 5. And there's 5 awesome choreographers that'll be performing pieces in White River Junction at Lyman Park. That's June 12th. And it's all about water conservation. What a great thing. What a great topic. So if you can, please come.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. That's
Yes.
a
Thank
fantastic
you.
update, and thank you for coming on. Again, I would really like to have you on again, especially when things start going, when the collaborations start at Main Street Art. I'd love to get, it's been I guess a pet project of ours is always supporting Main Street Arts, and we would love to hear more.
Yeah.
So thank you,
I would
Bronwyn.
love to come on again. I so appreciate you for having me on. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Fact TV, Alex and Colin. You're awesome. Thank you all.
All right, and that's it for this week on the feed.
Bye,
We will
community.
see you next
Next
week. And
Okey-doke.
that's it for, all right, see you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the